Greetings, Fright Nights. It's your old pal Count Jackula from the planet Dracula, where bad movies stalk the night. And in lieu of certain recent events, I think it might be appropriate for us to look at the first horror movie done by writer-director Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is widely known for directing a series of offbeat comedies including Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Dogma. However, he was inspired to write a horror film after watching an interview conducted by his friend Malcolm Ingram with the infamous Fred Phelps of the Westboro Baptist Church. But to understand Fred Phelps and the Westboro Baptist Church, we have to look at a young man named Matthew Shepard. Matthew Shepard was a young queer man in Casper, Wyoming that had been beaten, tortured, and tied to a fence left for dead. He was discovered the next morning and eventually died of his wounds in the hospital. Shepard's death reignited the national hate crime debate, because at that time, being killed for being gay did not count as a hate crime. Shepard's death quickly became both a rallying point and a media circus. And this is where Fred Phelps enters the story. Fred Phelps was pastor of the infamous Westboro Baptist Church, and he hated fags. This is perhaps the only thing he and his church are really known for, hating fags. He hated fags so much he and his family/congregation protested Matthew Shepard's funeral, using the now highly recognizable "God hates fags" slogan. Phelps and family instantly became the most widely hated media figures ever. Worse than Miley Cyrus, worse than Kim Kardashian, worse than well, maybe about on par with Hitler. And then they kissed. For the movie Small Town Gay Bar, director Malcolm Ingram, himself a gay man, interviewed Phelps for over an hour. When he showed the footage to Kevin Smith, Smith was struck by how calm and collected Phelps was while simultaneously spewing his hateful nonsense. He was so awestruck and disgusted that he did what any filmmaker would do. He made a movie about it. This movie, Red State. And since Fred Phelps has just died, I think it's probably appropriate that we take a look at the film that he inspired. Because I'm a sick motherfucker that loves dancing on people's graves. That's probably why all my family is cremated. The movie opens up with, well, what else? A funeral protest, led by Pastor Aidan Cooper, who will be our Fred Phelps stand-in. Watching this protest is Travis, one of the main characters. As Travis gets to class late, he explains that he was late because of the protest, and learns that the funeral was for a local gay kid that was found murdered, wrapped in plastic.
She's dead. Wrapped in plastic.
At recess, he hangs out with his friends Jared and Billy Ray, and finds out that Jared has found a girl on a hookup website that wants to have sex with all three of them. Yeah, that sounds legit. What's this girl supposed to look like? Yo, fake! And by that I mean her tits, because you can't see it behind that black box. Those are fake as shit. Also, what's up with that face? I think she's had all the work done. But when they get there... Holy shit! They're gonna fuck Mother Goose! She's gonna make him look for Little Red Riding Hood with a big bad wolf eats her out! You say no! No! I don't care if you got blue balls so bad those babies about to blow! You say no! You let that shit go to ultraviolet and say no! Duck and cover, motherfucker! Anyway, instead of getting to ride Miss Daisy, the three are drugged and transported to Pastor Aidan Cooper's compound, where he gives an eerily familiar type of speech about how God hates the world and only those that fear him will be saved. The congregation all nod in agreement, happy and smiling at these words of hate, knowing what they are about to do.
And who's Satan's instrument on earth, Fiona May?
Ooh, me! Pick me!
The homosexuals?
That's right, baby.
Aww. Hello?
Jackula?
Hey, would it be possible for me to become an honorary homosexual so I can become Satan's emissary on Earth?
Sure you can. We're recruiting this month. Join now and you get a free 6-pack of poppers.
Yes! Joking aside, this exchange with the little girl is eerily on point. Really little kids have a natural tendency to believe what adults tell them, and this is why fundamentalist churches put such a huge value on them. They can be used to swell the ranks of Jesus' holy army. And as anyone who's lived through a fundamentalist upbringing or seen Jesus camp can attest, this is not an exaggeration. This is the dark side of belief. No logic or reason can bring you to the conclusion that a human being is deserving of murder and torture. Only belief does that. Back when I was in second grade, I went to a fundamentalist Baptist school. And one day, the father of one of my classmates had been arrested for making bombs with which to destroy abortion clinics. The bomb-making materials had been found in the house's master bedroom. So the husband and wife were definitely in on it. There was no way they couldn't have known. I remember feeling like, at that time, that they were martyrs to the cause of Christianity. This is pretty much what we were being taught. And I remember the certainty of that. I remember how easy it was to believe that putting people at risk and murdering people in the name of Christ was the right thing to do. I remember feeling like society was wrong, not them. There's no single incident that took me away from that type of thinking. It was a long process where just one day I was able to look up and say, no, this is wrong. You don't do that. This is not the way human beings are supposed to treat other human beings. You can't just condemn people to death because you believe that's what they deserve. It haunts me to this day how simple and clear that was when I was a child. A lot of people have told me that they find this scene unbelievable. Brothers and sisters, it is fucking spot on.
That's because the moral spine of this country has been weakened by permissive attitudes and an unabashed tolerance for homosexuals.
Yeah, that's another thing. There actually are a lot of fundamentalist Christian churches that teach that tolerance is evil. Not just the Westboro Baptist churches of the world. We're talking like churches you probably know. I know a lot of Christian churches don't teach this kind of thing. In fact, it's very probably antithetical to them, but I'm not going to speak up for those people. I want those people to speak up for themselves, because if you don't, it's never going to go away.
Outside our fence lays a world at waste. There's famine, such as in Africa, pestilence, such as the AIDS, monsoons, typhoons, hurricanes, and the ensuing floods, such as New Orleans. New Orleans #1 Sin City.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Nolans, Sin City. Fun fact. The French Quarter was largely unaffected during Hurricane Katrina, so God apparently has really shitty aim.
I never saw the hand of God so clearly in all my born days.
Well, obviously you ain't watched the end of Stephen King's The Stand. If you watch right there...
The hand of God!
Right there! That's where the story shits the bed. At this point, it's pretty clear what goes on. The congregation goes online to find people, particularly gay men that want to have sex, kidnaps them, and murders them as part of services. All the while smiling and praising God. Pretty clear allegory for the way a lot of fundamentalist Christian churches treat gay people. Earlier in the film, when the boys were driving, they hit a car and ran off, not knowing that the car belonged to the local sheriff, played by Stephen Root, who's a closeted homosexual. The sheriff, that is. I don't know about Stephen Root. Hey, you think we should make a sucking on the root joke here? You know, like... how about, how many licks does it take to get to the center of that Tootsie Pop? You know, 1, a 2, a 3. The sheriff decides not to set the building on fire, but instead sends his deputies out to find the car in hopes of covering up his activities. And that takes the deputy right to the Five Points Trinity Church, interrupting the murderous service. Pastor Cooper tells the deputy a lie about it being his granddaughter's car, and at first the deputy is taken in. But he realizes his mistake too late.
Sheriff, I got shots fired inside of 5 Points for...
Aiden Cooper then blackmails the sheriff, saying he knows about his gay trysts and that he'll expose him unless he looks the other way. Unfortunately for the pastor, this backfires, and the sheriff calls the ATF.
God damn it, clerk's title card! You get back in the Askew universe where you fucking belong!
No, sir. You're thinking of Fred Phelps and his family up in Kansas. God hates fags.
I don't know if that's a really clunky way of driving the point home about who we're talking about, or if it's a complete cop-out.
Get the fuck out of here!
As the ATF arrive, everything goes from bad to worse. The sheriff, in a panic, shoots and kills Travis, who had escaped the compound with an assault rifle. A shootout begins, and the ATF are ordered to storm the compound. An order John Goodman is not happy with.
Jesus Christ, there's kids in there, sir. Just give me another 10 minutes, I can open up a line. You said this was gonna be a simple in and out, sir. Simple just shit itself.
As he argues with his superiors, one of the 5 Points girls runs out, hoping to negotiate for the safety of the children. Unfortunately, the ATF's orders are to leave no witnesses. Remember that. It's important.
Use of deadly force is permitted.
The girl, not knowing what else to do, cuts down Jared and tries to make him help her get the children out. But he refuses.
Please. Yeah, but Billy Ray said please do. That may still kill. So fuck you.
It's a sentiment often felt, but not usually voiced. And while it's not the noblest thing ever, you could certainly see where he's coming from. I mean, what makes you so deserving of mercy when you were willing to kill me over nothing? Remember, this girl isn't innocent. She knew what was going to happen to him, and was happy about it. It's almost disgusting that they would beg for their lives after what they've done, to try to appeal to our better nature to let them live after they have basically brutalized and tortured innocent people. In that moment of truth, do we just throw them out of the human family? Even if we feel absolutely justified in that, and on some level we all do, doesn't throwing them out make us more like them than we're really comfortable with? And if we absolutely have to do that, what does that say about what people like that can turn us into? To quote Nietzsche, "He who fights with monsters might take care lest they thereby become a monster. And if you gaze for long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you." This isn't the movie trying to have it both ways. This is the point of the film. The two eventually escape and try to negotiate. It doesn't go well. Suddenly a loud horn goes off, and the 5 Points people walk out cheering, believing it is the time of revelations, the apocalypse.
Can't you hear? Can't you hear?
This is the Lord's day of judgment.
And here's where we have to pause the movie for a minute. Because what I am about to tell you is a real fucking tragedy. In the original scripted ending, it actually was the beginning of the apocalypse. All of the 5 Pointers and all the ATF agents, save John Goodman, were to be killed by giant angels as the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse appear on the horizon. End movie. Unfortunately, they didn't have the money for the effects, so they had to rewrite it. The ending as it is now is John Goodman explaining that the horns were an elaborate prank perpetrated by the neighbors. And we end on Pastor Aiden Cooper preaching to himself in prison, and Kevin Smith himself having the final word on Pastor Aiden, Fred Phelps, and all of their ilk.
Shut the fuck up!
It's a real shame Smith had to change it because, as originally written, it's the proper ending of the story. Man's inhumanity to man, creating hell on earth.
However, some have said that the movie is confused and simply makes no sense. And that's not the case. I think they all missed what the movie is really about. One of the major themes of the film is witnessing. The type of preaching Aiden Cooper does is called witnessing. Jared witnesses the acts of the church. The ATF is told to leave no witnesses. And in the end, John Goodman is the only living witness to the events of the compound.
Even in the original draft of the script, John Goodman's character is left alive to witness the apocalypse.
And we, the audience, are the only witness to everything.
It's not just a takedown of the Westboro Baptist Church, but also an indictment of judgment without trial.
They hate us, so we hate them. Neither side seeing the other's humanity. And that's why I think it's a good movie, even despite the rewritten ending.
Though I will admit, with the original ending, it wouldn't have just been good, it would have been fucking genius.
It's also important that the character who gets out the least scathed in both versions of the script is the John Goodman character. Why?
Because he's the only character that has doubt.
Or at least he's the only character to allow doubt to sway his actions. Everyone else is absolutely driven by what they believe to be true, pushing doubt to the side. The Five Pointers believe that homosexuals are causing the apocalypse. The boys ignore any doubts about this anonymous girl wanting to hook up. The ATF officers have doubts but ultimately follow orders. Only John Goodman allows doubt to affect his actions, and he's the one working with the most information. He doubts the orders of his superiors. He doubts not following those orders. Even though this girl comes at him carrying a gun, he doesn't shoot her.
In a world where belief is used as the excuse to kill and torture people, only those with doubt can hold on to their humanity.
You have to live without doubt to say things like God hates fags. You have to believe that's what God wants.
Belief does a lot of things. It can make you hate someone for no damn reason other than somebody told you to. That's belief's dark side. For all the good it does, if you don't temper your belief with doubt, being wrong will feel absolutely right.
As an epilogue to Red State, Kevin Smith struck up a strange, almost friendship with Megan Phelps, granddaughter of Fred Phelps, and discovered that she had doubts. She kept in contact with Smith, and partially as a result of this, Megan Phelps found the courage to leave the Westboro Baptist Church behind, renouncing her grandfather and the idea that God hates fags.
Doubt, it seems, has its bright side. It may trouble us, but doubt is an inevitable consequence of considering the ramifications of what we say and what we do. When you doubt, you check around and try to figure out if you're right. Sometimes there are answers, and other times you're just left with ambiguity. Accepting doubt as part of life is part of the honorable way of living. As for our old enemy Fred Phelps, that motherfucker is now dead. And I don't know how to feel about that.
Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. Won't you spare me over till another year? Well, what is this that I can't see with ice cold hands taking hold of me? When God is gone and the devil takes hold, who have mercy on your soul? Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad, won't you spare me over till another year?